Now that all pots are painted, we're going to let them dry and head on inside and get ready for the next phase of the project, which is to get our message cut out in our permanent vinyl that we're going to put onto the center of our wreath. So I've gotten the phrase April flowers. Oh, nope. April showers bring May flowers. That's what we're cutting. I decided to do each word in a different vinyl color just because I really love color, and I think it's really gonna accent the terracotta pots we painted so nicely. So I have not used some of this vinyl in quite some time, and it's been in that roll tight like that. And so you're going to see in a few moments how disrespectful this vinyl gets on me by continuing to curl up. But I began the project thinking I would be able to take each piece and set it down on a standard grip Cricut mat. And the mat is not 100% tacky, so I used the little hack I saw from another YouTuber, which was to put some painter's tape on each corner of it. And of course, while I walk away, it curls up. So I come back, I'm trying to give this vinyl a second chance to do the right thing today and let me be great. So I decided to cut a piece of it off that I don't need, right? Because why keep that on there? Use my little squeegee to squeeze it down, put some more tape on it, move on to the next color, cut that excess vinyl down, and thinking I'm doing something. And slowly but surely, this vinyl just keeps pulling up off this mat. And I don't understand why it did not want me to be great. But you know what? I am not going to be tussling with this mat today. I'm not going to be tussling with this vinyl today. Y'all are going to let me be great because this wreath is going to come to fruition. So a couple more attempts of trying to stick it down. And I just got tired of saying, man, I'm out of here. Go get your strong grip mat. And so there you see me with my purple strong grip Cricut mat, which turned out to be the answer to the prayers that we were sending up to the heavens because it has a stronger tack. Now, I have to admit it was brand new. I had not used it before, but I do think that when you have vinyl that you've had for a while and you've kept it rolled up like that, it's not uncommon that it wants to stay in that state. So sometimes you have to use a strong grip mat to do it. And I wasn't really worried because we were using permanent vinyl. And so you see me cutting away the extra excess of it, but it's less likely that it would tear up because it was permanent and I don't have to try to heat press it onto a garment. So this is me being creative and using my entire mat instead of using, I think we're going to end up with 5 colors or 6 colors instead of me having to have 6 different transfer mats, which I don't have 6 strong grips. So I would have been having to do one word, take it off, do it again. I'm maximizing my space. So I'm bringing it all down extra, and I did take it into the craft room and cut it out. I didn't think you guys wanted to see that. So just a standard cut on Cricut mat. And now I am weeding. I'm using a variety of different permanent vinyls. Some I got from Hobby Lobby. Some I got from Cricut. Some I got from Michael's. You know, everybody has a competitor. And so I can't even tell you which colors belong to which brand. But again, it is permanent vinyl. I suppose you could have used removable vinyl if you wanted, but we have a lot of humidity here in the summer and spring, so I decided to use permanent. So now that we've weeded everything out, we are going to go ahead here and use our transfer tape that I get off of Amazon, and we're going to move the words off of the strong grip mat and get them onto our sign. And I do want to apologize for being off lens or off center for you guys to see what I'm doing off the camera. I am still learning these angles on YouTube, so I do apologize. I promise you it will get better as I get better filming on YouTube, but I think messy is better than not done at all. And so I hope you guys will give a little grace. And so now it's time to do some fun work. Let's go ahead and get these words on our sign because we are excited. I am repurposing some of my transfer tape The transfer tape that I use does go a long way, so I'm just taking the first couple of words and getting those down and centered and laid out where I want them to go. And then once I squeegee it onto it, I pull it right on up and put it onto the next word. So far, we've got our April flowers and rings, and I kind of had to lay it out and figure out what I wanted when I cut it, but you'll figure that part out as you figure out what message you want on your side. Just going in and braying the rest of those words onto our paper, and now they're going to make their transition onto the sign. Sometimes I have to scrape a little bit harder on some of the sections because the vinyl is old, and I guess vinyl can go old, but you just have to be patient and take your time. Maybe perhaps keep a weeding tool nearby so that you can pick the paper up a little bit easier if it gets stuck. But that's what you see me doing there. I'm just taking my time and making sure that I don't mess it up so I don't have to go back and cut more vinyl and waste more of my product. So now I'm holding it up and trying to get a view of, is it centered? Is it coming down and laying down the way that I really want it to? And so far, so good. So we had to come in and add a little bit of embellishment under the messaging because there was a big white space down at the bottom of the sign, and we definitely don't want that. Plus, we spray painted one of our pots. And so that color, I think it was, and so I think it would add to it. So yeah, there's not any perfect way to pick out how you want your colors to land. It's all about your creativity and the look that you are going for. I wanted super colorful. This was remnant vinyl I had left over from previous projects. And so they now have a new home. They're going to be on my spring sign for 2024. Now, some people may ask, am I going to seal that on? In this case, I didn't. You can. If I was worried about it lifting, I could have definitely put some Mod Podge over it, and that would have sealed it in. Or I could have used some of the clear matte acrylic sealer that I use sometimes from Krylon. But I didn't need to do that. I think it turned out perfect. And so now we're going to go to phase 3 of this project, which is to use the inside of a wreath frame. Instead of putting it on the outside, we're going to use the inside. And we're going to use some moss that we picked up from Old Time Pottery. But you can also get this moss at Hobby Lobby. You could get it at Michael's. But I really like the fact that I got a really large package. And that's going to allow me to do several wreaths. The first one I always make for myself. Because if I don't believe in the projects and products that I make, why would anybody else? But I have enough that as it is seen by people, friends, and on my social media, if I get any requests to make any custom wreaths, I'll have enough to do that with. So what I'm doing now is my hot glue gun is helping me to get the moss to stick down in the inside grooves of the inverted wreath. So now instead of it being on the outside and potentially falling off, I'm using the swoop or curve of the inside of the wreath to actually hold on to the moss. So I'm breaking off sections and I am hot gluing it in, and then, just kind of taking sections at a time. Put some butcher block paper underneath my table just to kind of catch some of it. It can be, working with moss can be a little bit messy. But because I still have the terracotta pots out on the patio drying, I actually can't use that table. That's normally where I would have done something like this. But again, we're creative. When you are using your space in multiple ways, you got to be a little flexible with it. I definitely would encourage, if it's your first time using a hot glue gun, that you use some gloves on or some tips. But because I'm pretty familiar with using one, I don't have any on here now, but I'm being very careful because hot wax can burn and it can hurt. So again, I want you to be safe at all costs, right? So now I'm looking at it, I'm holding it up to see if I see any gaps on the inside, and wherever I see like it needs a little bit more, I'm just going to tear off a little piece and put a little bit more there. And so, yeah, it's turning out just as I hoped it would. Now it is time for us to stabilize the center of the wreath. The good thing about those signs that I found is that they have wire on the back on each side. So I'm just going to push those wires through the moss and twist tie them like I would on a loaf of bread. I'm gonna center it again, make sure it's down, push it through, and go right on ahead and do that twist tie. And now the front of my sign is stable. We're just checking everything, fluffing a little bit. Go ahead and put that butcher paper and trash away. Now at this point, you may have to look at it and see if there's any more moss holes that you need to fill in. And if you do, you'll just grab some hot glue and go ahead and stick that down. You definitely want to make sure it's nice and full, but not so much that pieces are falling off every time you open your door. All right, so now terracotta pots are now dry. As you can see, our sign is colorful. We have our beautiful colorful pots, and now it's time to get them onto our wreath. So I've got a couple ways that I'm going to try to stabilize this, just because, again, it's going on my front door and that door opens and closes quite a bit. So I have some very thin wire that I believe I got from Michael's. It was in my craft stash. It's very sturdy. I think you can actually use it to hang photographs or frames on your wall. But I just thought that this was a little bit more security besides the hot glue gun. So I do put a generous amount of hot glue on the back of the pot and then stick that down. That way it's not moving when I go to apply the wire. And then I'm doing that with each of the pots. So hot glue gun first, kind of line it up where I want it to go, and then use the wire to secure it firmly to the back. And the good thing is, again, you're just twisting it like a little bread tie on the end of a loaf of bread. And I want to apologize for a lot of this being off screen. You can't see me actually doing as I'm turning the wreath. Again, I apologize. I'm still learning this YouTube thing and where my camera needs to be or how I need to turn my camera so that you get the full view. But I didn't realize that until after I had done all the work to make the wreath and film it. And so I didn't want to just trash the video and have wasted my time. So hopefully you guys will give a little bit of grace. But as you see, that's the picture of the wire hanger there. I'll try to take a picture of that and put that in the comments so that you can see it in case you decide to go and look for it yourself. Now, you may be wondering, well, why didn't you paint the inside of the terracotta pots? Because as I tilt the sign, you can still see some of the terracotta color on the inside, but you'll see in a moment why that's not going to matter and why I didn't want to waste the extra paint. As you also can see that I believe it was 6 pots that I thought I was going to end up putting on there, but I don't end up using all 6. I just picked my favorite color ones, and those is what I went with. I think I went with 4. And I'll still have that little green one. I'm not sure what I'll do with that, but I'm sure she'll show up somewhere. So once you get all of the pots secured, I am going to use some of my little burlap ribbon to cover the silver wire on the pot. So a lot of times you'll see a terracotta pot with a ribbon around it, and I had some excess burlap trim from over this winter. You can get it at Michael's. For $1.25, you get quite a bit. It goes a long, long way. That's the cheapest place that I found to get it, but I just measure a piece of it make it go all the way around the pot, and then snip off the amount I need. And then I'm just using the end of a little tiny screwdriver that I had on the table to press it down. If I didn't have that, I probably would get my little thumb pinchers that I bought just to make sure I don't burn myself from the hot glue. And you can see the little screwdriver right there. But once I get everything stuck down and hiding that silver from the wire, it's coming together nicely. Now we just want to check, make sure everything is secure, get that last little burlap trim put on there, and clean off any strings of the hot glue. Make sure it's nice and fluffed. We are proud of us. Now we're going to go ahead, and I had some flowers, some artificial flowers in my craft stash from a previous event I did with the sorority. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and put a little moss underneath that flower, and we're going to hot glue gun those things together, and then we're going to stuff them inside of our pots. So that was the reason why we did not have to worry about spray painting the inside of the pot, because depending on the flower or succulent that you use to go inside, you're not even going to see the inside of the pot. And so that's why I didn't bother to paint the inside. I already knew that I had stem flowers that had a pretty nice bloom to them. So that's why I didn't worry about painting the inside. Now, you may have to, if you think the inside is going to show the way that you display a sign, then you may need to paint the inside. But as again, in this case, I didn't need to. So I'm just putting some of the moss together with the flower, sticking them together with hot glue, and putting them on the inside of the pot. And that blue, even though royal blue is my favorite color, shout out to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. It's my favorite color, but I thought that it would really bring out the brightness, just another pretty beautiful color to add to our colorful springtime story. I mean, we're almost to the end of this project. There's only one thing left to do once we get that last flower in, and that is to hang our beautiful wreath on our door. I absolutely love it. I'm so proud of myself, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to go make something beautiful and mossy. And of course, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, everybody. Now, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And to all my money makers out there, you can do it. I believe in you. Now go be great.